Welcome to Celebration Sunday. This Celebration Sunday, I'm just going to let you know, is going to take a little bit softer, a little bit more gentle, a little bit more contemplative, and I'm just kind of trigger warning it that it is going to talk about sensitive topics related to death. Um, I really wanted to take this time today to pause last night, and I'm going to be very vague about this for consideration of the family, but somebody that I knew passed tragically. And while my relationship with them as a friend was many, many, many years ago, I probably hadn't talked to them in 20 years. I still followed them. I saw what they were doing in life. I would check up on them, they didn't know that I checked up on them, but I would see them and their family and their young children. And it really hit me in a way that I didn't expect. Someone that I haven't talked to in such a long time. But I've definitely been in a state of mourning the last 24 hours or since I found out. For many reasons. Obviously, for this person and their family and the grief that's involved. I'm a deep empath, and it's hard for me not to feel the impact of something like that. But also because I can still feel this person smile they're right in front of me. They were in so many of my memories in my formative years, so many of them. And who they were and their big, bold personality and their smile still sits with me. And when I thought about their smile, I saw their smile like it was right in front of me. And I think that when things like this happen, and if you had asked this person 2 days ago if Audra would be impacted if anything ever happened to them, they probably would have been like, no, I haven't talked to her in so long. But I think that the reality is, in our lives, we don't know the impact that we have on people while we're alive and when we're not here anymore. We could never imagine the impact that we would leave on somebody, ever, ever, whether for good or for bad, right? The impact and how we touch people's lives. And I feel like when things like this happen, sometimes people pass, and as you get older, in my 40s, you start to see more people passing. It's not just tragedy anymore, it's disease, it's other things, right? And the frequency starts to, it accelerates. And I think it's always, for me, as I've gotten older, when things like this happen, I always take a pause. And this one's hitting me a lot harder than some of the other people that I've known who have passed in the last couple years. And I'm not 100% sure why quite yet, but I know that it's really inviting me. And maybe it's because I'm in this year of being. I'm doing this year not just so that people on the internet hear me talk about it, but I'm doing it as a transformation of myself in real time for people to see. And I think something like that is not done very often, right? We might see a before and after, or we might see how somebody works out, or we might see, how somebody started their, Instagram account and now it's blown up. And all of those things can be really tangible. but we don't always know the heartfelt things that happen to people as they grow their platforms or as they, shed the weight off their bodies. I think a lot of these conversations are becoming um, more common place because of our access to social media, but we're not always getting the truth, right? We're not always getting the the real the real time things that are happening to people, but neither here nor there. For me, this has been a point of deep contemplation. In the midst of this year that I began, 18 days ago, it had been something that I'd been working towards for many years, not knowing that I was working towards it. And that's the fascinating part, the depth that I want to go into my self trust and my being and my understanding of who I deeply am on levels that I don't know how to access even yet. And so maybe it's because it's in the midst of this kind of shedding that we're still going through with the year of the snake moving into the year of the fire horse, but there is still a level of deep shedding that is happening for the collective. And so I invite you to take this time as well to just contemplate and celebrate the things thus far, right? What are the things that we can celebrate about our lives right now? Right now that we have done? How have we loved? How have we been kind to people? How have we impacted people? How have we shown up? What are things we're proud of that has affected humanity in some way, shape, or form? How have we existed in that sort of space? And how can we love more? And how can we be more kind? And how can we be less performative? And how can we show up in what we really desire? And how can we choose ourselves more, which ultimately is choosing the world for you, for me, for the world. For the world. For everybody. Because our lives are so short and so fleeting, and we never know. We never know when that's going to be done. We never know when it will be taken away. And I don't invite this contemplation in a place of fear. I feel sad. I feel grief right now. But I don't feel scared. I don't feel scared in terms of thinking about my own death. I think the only thing that I often fear is that I haven't accomplished what I wanted to, not in terms of traditional success, but have I given my son the experiences that I want to give him? Have I loved him in the ways that I'm capable of loving him? Have I shown up for my family? Have I loved them? Have I been true to myself? Have I said the hard things because I know that I can't carry the weight of not saying the truth anymore? These are the questions that I have. Because someday, in my celebration of life at the end, I hope that people remember my smile. Sorry. And I hope that they, without even talking to me for 20 plus years, will still remember the way that they made me feel. Or I made them feel, But anyways, I'm going to leave that here. Thank you for participating in a non-traditional celebration Sunday. And I send you much love.